Welcome to Thoughts Roundup. Well, we've had a nice day. We heard a great sermon this morning at the conference, and Brother Ted Erskine preached a marvelous sermon. And then we went out with some friends from BB, Arkansas to Paula Dean's restaurant here in Pigeon Forge. And it was just a great dinner. And while we were at the table, naturally we were needing to laugh and talk just a little bit. And so one thing led to the other, and finally I said, and then there was the man who jumped out of the airplane and his parachute didn't open, and he was coming down at a rapid rate of speed, and all of a sudden he met a man coming up. And he hollered at him and said, "Hey, do you know anything about parachutes?" He said, "No, do you know anything about Coleman stoves?" That was just a little bit of a little banter back and forth with us. And so I told them the old joke about the 4 people on the plane, and there was only 3 parachutes. And so the pilot, after a while, he set it on automatic and came back and he said, "Folks, we have irreparable damage." And he said, "I am going to take one of the parachutes and jump." And so, if you know, you could tell I had a little problem here with the camera. Said, "I'm going to take one of the parachutes and jump." So nobody could say anything because it was his plane and his parachute. Then there was another man stood up after he jumped and said, "I am one of the most brilliant minds in the world, and the world needs my brilliance." And he said, "So I'm taking a parachute." Well, he said, nobody could say anything, so he jumped. Well, that left the old preacher and the little boy, and the old preacher said, "Well, son, yours is before you, and mine's behind me. You go ahead and take the parachute." He said, "No, Reverend, that won't be necessary. One of the most brilliant minds in the world just took my knapsack and jumped out." Sometimes that proves we're not as smart as we think we are. Well, then after another helping of this and another helping of that and another unsweetened iced tea, and this one and that one talked, and finally something led up to another little story. And I said to them, I said, "You know, there was a man doing a family seminar one time, and he was speaking on perfection. He said, there's no one perfect. And he said, you know, just to prove that there's no one perfect, he said, I'm going to ask if there's anyone here perfect. Would you please stand? And a man stood up, and the speaker said, Sir, do you mean to tell me that you are perfect? He said, No, sir, I'm not saying that. He said, I was just standing in honor of my wife's first husband. And so I decided to let it go at that. I had gotten 3 more than moderate laughs, and we were having a good time, and I didn't want to stretch myself out any. So that ended the little story session. But I enjoyed being with the folks at dinner. And I've enjoyed being with you here today. God bless you.